Before I do that, I'll introduce myself to all the visitors. If this is your first time, my name is Unique Mackey. I have the pleasure and privilege of being the pastor of Chosen. Chosen is a new church plant in the city, and our mission is to help people maximize their God-given purpose. If this is your first time, we've got a gift for you. Please don't leave without shaking my hand and picking up a free copy of my book titled Adversity Creates Purpose. And it talks about how God can take your greatest pains and help you accomplish your purpose. I think all the men remember us praying for our care pastor, Brennan. Brennan, how are you doing? I know you're watching us live. He's in New Orleans enjoying some time with his family this week. But he wanted me to tell you all this. You all remember that Brennan got a somewhat negative report from his doctors. You all know that Brennan is recovering from cancer, and he went to go visit his doctors and got that report, and he came back, and all the men prayed for him. Well, let me tell you what Brennan said happened. He said, I was told by my physicians to expect a gradual decrease in my PSA numbers. His doctor said it would take about a year to get an ideal number. He said, my first post-check appointment had me feeling like I would not get any good news and that I would have to grind to get to the possibility of getting good news. I had my concerns. After you and the brothers prayed, I felt peace and assurance that I was fine, and I didn't worry about it any further. Monday, my doctor called, and well in advance of a year, I have a 0.1 PSA number. The power of prayer, faith, and trust. I love Brennan because oftentimes pastors only get bad news. We only hear about the divorce. We only hear about the deaths. We only hear about the depression, because when things are going well, who needs a pastor, right? But Brennan wanted us to know the power of prayer. And so I want to thank you all for praying for our care pastor, because he does so much for us just in his short time in his position. He's got about 12 couples and individuals on his calendar already, which lets me know that God sent him at the perfect time, because there's absolutely no way that I would be able to manage that on my own. And so I want to thank him for what he continues to do for us, and I want us to continue to keep him in prayer. I've got another prayer request for you. I want to thank Nakia for her help with this during this week. I don't know if you all remember Jasmine, who got baptized in our old building. She just had a baby, and the baby's 8 weeks, and the baby got very sick and was put into the hospital. And I want to let you know that even her beautiful baby is doing better. We've been up there twice this week to be with them and the family and to pray with them. And we got a great praise report yesterday on how well the baby is doing. And so I want you all to pray for Jasmine. Anyone who's ever had a sick child knows how difficult that can be. And I'm just so proud of her and the baby's father. They're standing so strong. And so I want to ask for you to continue to pray for Jasmine. And I'm not sure if you all know the Davis family, but they suffered a death on Thursday. The Davis family is a friend of my family. Both of their sons graduated from my men in training program at the same time that DeAndre graduated from my men in training program. And their mother was found dead. She had died in her sleep, and she was only around 40 years old. And so the Davis family is struggling right now, and to be honest with you, I'm struggling a little bit. This has been a rough week. There's been so many things happening, and I want to ask that you will keep the Davis family, Brennan, Jasmine in your prayers, but also keep me in your prayers, because I had to balance a lot over the last month, and believe it or not, even I get tired. And so today was just one of those days, and I'm just being honest with you. I believe so many pastors deal with so many issues because they try to act like they don't have problems, and they do. And so today was just one of those days for me where I just felt tired. And so would you all mind keeping me in your prayers? Is that okay? Can y'all do that for me? I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Y'all see our family, you challenge. You challenge. Why don't y'all make some noise for me? I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, I'm so excited about our new series titled Grow. And GROW stands for Go Reach Our World. Everybody say, Go Reach Our World. And for us to reach the world, for us to make an impact on the community, for us to make an impact publicly, we must first make an impact privately. We can't impact the world effectively until we've impacted ourselves effectively. Everybody say grow. So today I want to talk to you all about the idea of burning your boats. The idea of burning boats goes back to one of the history's most daring and dynamic leaders. In 1519, Hernan Cortez led an expedition of about 600 Spaniards, around 16 horses, and about 11 boats. The objective was to go to Mexico and capture a treasure that would change their lives. When they arrived, Cortez made history. When they pulled up on the shore of the island that they were about to take, he made history by burning all of the boats. What message did this send to his men? Get rich or die trying. No turning back. We either accomplish our purpose or perish. Although you may assume that Cortez and his crew became depressed, despondent, because they had absolutely no way to turn back, the truth is, because they had no way to turn back, they conquered the entire Aztec Empire. Which raises an interesting interrogative for us to answer. What could we accomplish if we burned our boats? How could you grow your income if you burned the boat of laziness? How could you grow your marriage if you burned the boat of selfishness and self-centeredness? I'm here to tell you that if we burn our boats, if we give ourselves no way of going back, we will accomplish growth in our lives. Because this is not just a rhetorical question, I want you to take 60 seconds and I want you to write down or pull out your cell phone, and I want you to write down 1, 2, or 3, 4, 5, whatever you think you need to burn. Can we get that clock up there? I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Shout out to Jeopardy. Y'all know Jeopardy just had their last show. I believe that was last week. Shout out to Alex Trebek if you're watching us live. What boats do you need to burn? What's holding you back from maximizing your God-given potential? 20 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody say, burn your boats. Whatever you wrote down, I want you to consider burning. I'm going to do my best to tell you how to do it, but I just want you to think about what would life look like if I was willing to let go of what's holding me back. There's a character in this movie, I don't remember the name of the movie, but this character was in a fight for his life. And while he was fighting, he fell. And after he fell, an object fell on top of his leg. So he was trapped. So he's fighting the enemy. He's fallen, and now he's trapped. His enemy is encroaching. His enemy is coming closer. And now this guy has a question that he has to answer. Am I going to let the enemy that's getting closer to me kill me? Or am I going to cut something off? He was trapped and he couldn't fight, and he only had one option. I'm going to either let this enemy keep getting closer and kill me, or I don't mean to be graphic, but I got to let you know what happened, or I can cut off my leg and escape. And pastors have a problem. We can't watch movies without writing sermons. So in that moment, I began to think, what do we have to cut off to prevent ourselves from being killed by the enemy? What do we have to get rid of? What do we have to let go? What boats do we have to burn to keep the enemy from taking control of our purpose? Here's the thing. Whenever you're cutting something off, there's pain. I don't want to assume that you all know this, but God has a purpose and a plan for your life. Jeremiah says it like this. He says, before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. In other words, what God was telling the prophet Jeremiah is, before your parents went on their first date, before they had their first kiss, I had an idea about what your life should look like. So you're not an accident. You're on this planet for a purpose. But here's the problem with purpose. The problem with purpose is that it's painful. The problem with purpose is that there's an enemy who seeks to kill and destroy what God is trying to develop. And the challenge is, can we accomplish our purpose without burning some boats? Because too many of us, we're living a life of compromise. We're trying to satisfy Christ while trying to satisfy ourselves. And what God is trying to do, because just like Cortez, he was after a great treasure. And God is giving you a great treasure. But the only way we're going to capture the treasure that Christ has set before us is if we make the same decision that Cortez and his crew made, and that is to burn up anything that will keep us from moving forward. 1 Kings 19, verse 19 says, so Elijah went and found Elisha, son of Shaphat, plowing a field. Elijah was a prophet. The prophets used to lead God's people. So Elijah was a prophet, but Elisha had a purpose in his life. So Elijah was looking for Elisha, and he finds Elisha, a future prophet, plowing a field. So Elisha had a past, and Elisha also had a purpose. And this is what happens. Elisha is plowing the field. There were 12 teams of oxen in the field, and Elisha was plowing with the 12th team. Elisha went over to Elisha and threw his cloak across his shoulders and then walked away. What that means is that in the days of antiquity, what a prophet would do to pass along their power to the next prophet is they would put a cloak over them. So what Elijah was doing to Elisha was saying, I've got a new purpose for you. So he finds Elisha plowing in the fields, and he throws this cloak across Elisha and says, something's about to change. Watch how Elisha responds to Elijah. Elisha left the oxen standing there, ran after Elijah and said to him, first, let me go and kiss my father and mother goodbye, and then I will go with you. Elijah replied, go on back, but think about what I've done to you. Let me pause here parenthetically and say, the reason Elijah warns Elisha is sometimes when we go back, if we're not careful, we'll forget about the purpose that we have. So he said, okay, it's okay for you to go tell your family bye, but don't forget about the purpose that God has for you. I love Elisha's response. Elisha returned to his oxen after telling his parents bye, and he slaughtered them. He used the wood from the plow to build a fire to roast their flesh. He says, I'm so excited about what God's about to do in my life, we're going to have a barbecue. He slaughters the oxen. He uses the wood from the plow to build a fire, and he starts barbecuing. He passed around the meat to the townspeople, and they all ate, verse 21 says. Then he went with Elijah as his assistant. See, Elisha understood what I want you all to understand. Is that God has a purpose for your life, but you cannot accomplish God's purpose without getting rid of some of the stuff from your past. See, Elisha understood that whatever he did not to burn his boats would hold him back. Elisha understood that if I don't get rid of my past, I will never accomplish purpose. If I don't get rid of this oxen, I will never have what I need to move forward. If I'm not willing to let some people go, if I'm not willing to let some things go, if I'm not willing to shift and change my identity for Christ, I will never accomplish what God has called me to accomplish. So he burned his boats. Jesus said in Matthew 9:17, and no one puts new wine into old wineskins. For the old skins would burst from the pressure, spilling the wine and ruining the skins. New wine is stored in new wineskins so that they are both preserved. See, in the days of antiquity, when a person wanted to ferment wine, they were not supposed to put new wine in an old wineskin. Why? Because wineskins were made of leather, and when they aged, they would become coarse and brittle, and they would not be able to handle the pressure of the fermenting wine. Because when wine ferments, it grows, it expands. You are are like that fine wine. You are growing. You are expanding. God wants to do more in your life in 2020 than he did in 2019. God wants your marriage to be better in 2020 than it was in 2019. God wants you to make more money in 2020 than you did in 2019. You are like that wine. You are growing and you are expanding. But if you put something new, something growing into something old, what ends up happening is it gets wasted. Jesus said you don't put something new in something old. See, let me mention this. That's part of the problem with the church and why we can't attract young people, because we keep trying to put a new generation in something old. If we're going to attract the new generation, we got to be able to try new things. If we're going to be able to inspire our young people to follow Christ, we can't keep them in something old. We got to be willing to step outside our comfort zones. And so Jesus is saying the only way we're going to make an impact is if we stop trying to put what's new into something old. Here's the principle we can pull out of that passage. If you try to put your new self in old situations, you will end up wasting your purpose. If you try to take your new self into an old relationship, you will end up wasting your purpose. If you try to take your new gifts and talents and put them in an old situation, you will end up wasting your purpose. That's why some of you all are frustrated at your jobs now, because you are growing, you are learning, you are more intelligent this year than you were last year, and your company is old and they are not willing to listen to new ideas, and you find yourself frustrated and aggravated. The problem is you are new and you trying to fit in something old. You can't take your new mind and put it into old mess. That's what happens when you allow Christ to change your life and you try to catch up with your old boo or bae. You different, they the same. You have a new mind and they still stuck in the old mess. You can't take something new and expect it to vibe with something old. You can't grow in something old. But because it can't handle it. It says, and no one puts new wine into old wineskins, for the old wineskins would burst from the pressure. When you're growing, you put pressure on your environment. That's why some folks that you used to hang with can't stand you now. It's not that it's anything wrong with you. It's just that you're putting too much pressure on them. It's just that when they see you changing, they feel like they need to change, but they ain't ready. They see you getting more money, and they know they need to go try harder, but they ain't ready. Don't you change who you are because you don't see them changing. Please understand you are new, and God is growing you, and he's working with you, and he's expanding you, and you are putting pressure on old people. Everybody say, I'm new. I'm new. You can't take what's new and try to fit in what's old, because it gets wasted. Time wasted. Gifts wasted. Talents wasted. Money wasted. Please understand, when you're new, you need new opportunities. You need new people. You need a new environment. If you're new and you go to something old, that which is old, that old environment is going to try to pull on that old individual. You ever been back to homecoming? And you knew. That's why I don't go back to Georgia Southern. You know that God has changed you. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. But when you go back to that old environment starts tugging on that old individual. You know you don't drink like that anymore, but that old environment says take a couple more shots. You know you don't hang with folk like that, but that old environment saying they old friends. Let me help you. They are old friends for a reason. They are old friends because you are a new person, and a new person may need new friends. It ain't nothing wrong with going to your homecoming. I just don't go because I'm not really sure where my old individual is at. And anybody that I want to talk to, I'll holler at. And so because you're new, you need to be searching for that which is new. I think this is what Paul meant in 2 Corinthians 5:17 when he said, all things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. You need a new environment to grow. You need new friends to grow. You need new habits to grow. A new person needs a new environment. A new person should not be trying to fit into old things. See, here it is. Some of us are frustrated and we're aggravated. We're ready to give up on God because we're not growing. But let me help. It's not God's fault. We are just trying to operate around too much old stuff. We are trying to grow in old ground. You can't grow in old ground. You need something new. You need something inspirational. You need something challenging. Stop trying to be the smartest person in your group. Stop trying to be the richest person in your group. Stop trying to be the leader of your group all the time. You need to be around people who can help grow you. You need to be around people who are smarter than you. You need to be around people who make more money than you. Some people don't want to let go of the old because the old makes them feel dominant. But I'm not trying to dominate anything weak. I'm not trying to dominate anything lacking. I want to be in a situation where I can be strengthened and I can be challenged and I can grow. And for that to happen, I got to get in something new. Everybody say grow. And see, what I love about Elisha, and I mentioned this earlier, is that he did not want to sacrifice compromisingly. That's why he burnt. He said, you know what? This God thing has no plan B. I'm not going to try God, and if it doesn't work, go back. I'm not going to try purpose, and if it doesn't go well, go back to my past. And that's where a lot of us are at. We're not seeing the growth that we desire, and we're trying to go back to our past. You can't go back to your past. You got to burn it. Here it is. We can't compromise what God has called us to do. There are going to be challenges, but that doesn't mean you go back. Yeah, you're going to have to make some sacrifices, but that doesn't mean you go back. Yeah, you'll meet some challenges, but those challenges aren't for you to go back. Those challenges are for you to grow. Those challenges are for you to meet Christ in a different way. I love what we see in Exodus when Moses was taking the children of Israel out of bondage in Egypt. When they got to the Red Sea, Moses could have thought, wow, there's something blocking me from my purpose. You must not really want us to go to this promised land. But he knew enough about God to know that God would not leave me, bring me here to leave me here. And so when he met that obstacle, he also met God in a different way. I'm here to tell you, you may be up against some obstacles, but it's not for you to turn back. It's for you to meet God in a different way. Just because you're struggling in that marriage, don't go back to your single past. Meet God in a different way. Just because you're struggling in your finances, don't go hit the block again. Meet Christ in a different way. Just because you're struggling don't mean you went the wrong direction. It may mean God wants to provide you a miracle. We can't sit on the fence and give Jesus a little of what he wants while we get a little of what we want. God, I know you're calling me to fix my attitude, but I really only curse when I'm angry now. God, I know you're saying I drink too much, but now I only get drunk on the weekends. God, I know you're telling me to give a little more, but I'll give at least 2%. God, I know you're telling me to be more consistent at Chosen, but I do go on second and fourth Saturdays. See, we sacrifice, but we do it compromisingly instead of completely. Elisha said, no. If I want to accomplish God's will, the only way is to burn the boats. The only way is to situate myself to where I can't go back. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch how Elisha made sure he wouldn't turn around. It wasn't just that he burned the boats. It's that he burned the boats openly. It says, so Elisha returned to his oxen and slaughtered them. He used the wood from the plow to build a fire to roast their flesh. He passed around the meat to the townspeople, and they all ate. Then he went with Elijah, his assistant. See, he did not try to hide the fact that God had changed his life. He went back to the hood. He said, y'all, I'm saved now. He went back to his old crew and he said, God is calling me to do something different. He wasn't ashamed of the fact that he was about to follow God. And what I'm here to tell you, Chosen, is that we cannot be disciples in the dark. We cannot be people that love God and not let the world know. God says that we are the light of the world. We cannot let a light shine and try to hide it at the same time. We have to be like Elisha, and we've got to let the world know that we different. See, I love it because you let folk know what you are trying to accomplish so that they can hold you accountable. Because if he would have went back, everybody would have said, Elisha, you remember when we had that barbecue and you said you were following God? What you doing back here, bro? Everybody would have been pointing fingers and whispering, saying, what's Elisha doing back? See, I love Elisha because he knew God was calling him to do something different. And because of that, he said, I want the world to know. He said, watch this. I want to ask you something. Are you letting your light shine? Do the people that you work with know that you are following Christ? Do the people in your school, do the people on Fort Gordon know that you love Jesus? That's the power of baptism. That's why I can't wait for next week. Y'all got to be here next week. We got 4 people to baptize, 4 new believers in Jesus Christ. When you get baptized, you are showing the world that you're different. You are showing the world that I want your accountability. We were doing a workshop earlier today. Shout out to Chosen for showing love. Sleepy was there on that panel, did an awesome job. And somebody had a question. They were angry and upset, and they were saying, I just want to be me, and I get tired of people judging me. And I said, we got to be careful about that word judge, because just because somebody's telling you that you're doing wrong, or just because somebody's telling you that you're not living right, doesn't mean that they're judging you. That could mean that they're loving you. That could mean that they want you to accomplish your purpose. It could mean that they want you to leave your past behind. Because when we come out to the world and say that we are different, we're inviting accountability. That's why I love Chosen, because we can't call ourselves disciples and live in the dark. So we come out on Saturday nights to love on each other, to hold each other accountable, to make sure that our sum is becoming greater than our individual parts. We're all here because we want the world to know that we're different and we're not ashamed of the gospel. And that's the power. See, Chosen is a beautiful place because we have people who believe in God and we have people who don't. But how do we become attractive to those who have not taken that step of faith? We let our light shine. We let them know what Jesus has done in our life. We let them know that we're following Christ and we've left our past behind. And you'll hear from people who are sick and tired of the church because they come and they don't see a difference. They come and they say your marriages are just as messed up as mine. They come and they say y'all gossip more than the people that I work with. They come and they say I don't see a difference. And it's because we hadn't burned the boats. And the only way to accomplish God's will and purpose in our life is to burn the boats so we can't go back. I'm going to leave you with this and I'm going to get out your face. Y'all been a great crowd. The devil will always open a door to try to make you go back. If you read the 2nd chapter of 2 Kings, matter of fact, that's your homework for this week. I want you to read the 2nd chapter of 2 Kings, and you will see that Elisha had 3 opportunities to go back. But I bet he thought about going back and remembered, I have nothing to go back to. I burned it. So when he was tempted to go back, he couldn't. Why? Because he burned it. I know people say don't burn a bridge, but I would like to argue with that. I want you to burn every bridge that will give you the opportunity to go back to who you used to be. If that person is over there on the other side of the bridge, you need to burn that bridge. If that person or if that job is on the other side of that bridge and God called you to be an entrepreneur, war, I want you to burn that bridge. If drugs are on the other side of that bridge and God told you, I want you to live a clean, sober, and successful life, then guess what? I want you to burn that bridge. I think that burning bridges are good when bridges lead you back to places that God told you to burn. What if, look at that. What if you burned your boats? What could you accomplish if there was no way back? What could you accomplish if you deleted that number and unfollowed that friend? What could you accomplish if you tore up your resume and said, God, I'm gonna be a millionaire come hell or high water? What could you do if you burn your boats?
Thank you for visiting our chosen YouTube channel. I hope that you were inspired and blessed by the message. If you want to connect with us, please click the first link in the description. And if you would like to subscribe, click here and you will get all of our awesome chosen videos. Again, thank you and go be chosen.